All right, IQwire Gen 2 carbon black, along with some new cable management stuff, all under the IQwire brand. So ideally this is a 5-minute video, but I know I'm gonna go off on tangents and stuff, so it's gonna be like 20 minutes. So what I think I'll do is I'll do kind of a quick overview, and then for you smart people, you can probably just figure out the rest of it. And then for the rest of us, I'll go through and kind of, show exactly how stuff gets installed and put together and stuff like that. So, all right, so IQwire Carbon Black, this is our second generation X5, X10, X15. That basically is 5 meters, 10 meters, and 15 meters. So, and that translates to 16 feet, 33 feet, and 50 feet. So this guy, 50 feet, no extensions, no specialty cables. All our cables work. You can use it on GFX and you can use it on Sony. You don't have to have a special cable. 50 feet, this one here, here's a 50 footer. This is, it's one cable, no extensions, no, sometimes, some people make a 30 footer and then a 30-foot extension, and you have to plug them in certain orders and turn on cameras and computers in certain orders. So, just like Gen 1 with our cables, you can just plug it in. It doesn't matter which end goes in first. They are one way though, so the angle one always goes in the camera and the straight one goes in the computer. But they pretty much connect straight away every time. In fact, I was just on a job with an assistant that I haven't worked with that much, and every time I connected the camera to the cable, he would run to the computer. Let me make sure. Oh, never mind, it's already connected, and all day long. And this is a day where I had to remove the camera and reconnect like 30 or 40 times because we were run and gun out in the woods on a mountainside. And every time he would run and check, and he was just like, oh, never mind. And finally he figured out like he doesn't really have to check, that it's gonna connect every time. So IQwire Carbon Black Gen 2, it's pretty much awesome. I've been testing them last 8 months. This particular one here has been in rain, mud, cow shit. We dragged this thing all over mountain last week, and it did great. Second half of the new IQwire system is our cable management system. So this is going to give you things like a tether lock that is also quick release, no tools needed, USB port connector, USB connector protector is what it is also. So that's kind of the overview. The heart of the system is the quick release cable lock. It's an Arca Swiss plate, 6061 aluminum, and then the insert, which I'll show you more on here in a second, is carbon fiber composite, and it slides in, locks in, no tools needed. So that is the first part of the equation. The second part is what we're calling the unplanned cable modification deterrent. And what that means is hopefully you guys are going to stop breaking your USB connectors. That is probably the most requested repair that we get, and you can't really repair these cables once they're damaged. They're all micro soldered in a factory, so it's not like we can send your cable back to this factory and have it re-micro soldered. By that time that whole exchange happens, you're probably going to pay more for the repair than a brand new cable. So, but tether cables are expensive. They've gotten longer, they've gotten faster. So we're going to help you not break as many port connectors. And that's what the unplanned cable modification deterrent does. And we called it deterrent because it's not foolproof. I think this is going to stop you guys from breaking them 95% of the time. But you guys are pretty creative and you know, someone's still gonna break some cables. So I'll show you that in a second. So that is the second part of it. It comes with these stickers too. I'll tell you about those. Everybody loves stickers, but it's actually not a sticker. So, all right, more on that in a minute. And the third part of this system is a quick release system. And what that is in certain instances, you might need to come apart, especially, you're at the end of your tether, or someone runs through the scene and, the cable gets wrapped around their leg. And this is also going to help you stop breaking cables, because this basically what this does is turns, it's going to save your right angle cables by turning them into two straight pieces, which can come out with some extra tension. So, it stays in. I haven't had any problem with it just coming out, but as soon as someone kicks it, then that extra tension is going to save you there. So that comes with that block and two stingers. I'll show you these in a second. So that is basically the whole new system. This Arca Swiss plate, pretty self-explanatory, right? It's just one screw, just like any other Arca Swiss plate. It is slotted. There's a little slot here. And that's because, every camera plate, for some reason, you would think this would be standardized, but the tripod hole is always in a different spot. So in the Sony, it's pushed all the way back. I think the R5 is all the way up, and some cameras in the middle. So, that's that. And the second part of this is the part that clamps onto the cable, and then your cable becomes quick release, but also protected at the same time. So I will show you that in a second. The next part of that is these are the cable protectors. They're actually made for each different camera, so they're all different, but they're just going to bolt on here to the side, 2 bolts. It's going to come with the bolts. It's going to come with a hex key, everything you need. So the beauty of the system is once you bolted this on and installed it, it's now toolless. So you no longer need, if you're tether locked and all of a sudden you realize you want to get this cable off of here, it comes off in, a mere, probably like a second. Get this cable here. So basically it's just going to slide in, it locks in, has a little lock, and your cable goes in, and then you're good to go. And then when you have to come out, you just pop it out and you're done. So the sticker, it is a vinyl sticker with really strong adhesive. I think it's maybe acrylic adhesive. I've been using these for 6 months. Haven't had an issue with them. I mean, if you were to tear one or ruin one or whatever, you can basically do the same thing with a piece of gaff tape. So, but we're just throwing them in the kit because they're kind of cool. Basically, anyone with a Sony knows this already. Like, once you have a right angle connector on your camera, they're really hard to get off because of the doors. Like, other people have flaps and Sony has doors, and it makes it hard to grab it. And then with our port protector on here, of course, it's going to be a little bit harder to grab. So that's why we've been using that. So the way that the port protector works is it's solid. It's 6061 aluminum. It's for the most part not going to bend. And basically any way you hit your port, your cable's going to be fine. It's not going to touch the cable. So obviously, from this direction, it's completely in this top bottom. Even from the cable side, because the cable is basically pushed up against the protector, if you push even from this side of the cable, it can't go anywhere. So, as I said before, this is the biggest repair requests that we get, because, you know, people are on set, they're running around, they bang into talent, or they bump into the computer, or whatever, onto a light stand, or you know, you put your camera down too hard on the table, and next thing you know, your USB-C connector is bent over, and your expensive cable is dead. So that is the port protection system. And then for the quick release cable, the way that works is you're going to put your right angle IQwire into this block, and it has a little window here so that when you connect your stinger, you know that it's all the way in. So there's no guessing, like, is this all the way connected? Because if you can see any of the USB metal, you know you're not all the way in. It comes with 2 stingers. So you can have one as a spare, or the stinger is actually good on the other end. So most of you are probably using a DigiPlate, which has, you know, cable management built in. You go, you know, obviously weave it through the holes, and this cable is not going to move ever. But the only problem is, it's great when it's here, like on a cart or somewhere really solid. But a lot of times when we're running gun, you know, you're taking this plate off of your cart and you're putting it on maybe like a baby beefy stand, or you're putting it on a tripod. So that introduces a new problem. If you have this on here super solid and somebody pulls it, well, now your computer is going to go over and hit the ground. So that's not good. So you can take one of these stingers, and because it's right angle, put it in the computer, and you could thread it through the system if you want. I actually don't even thread it through the system. I just let it hang off the front of this, off my DigiPlate. And because they're both cables are straight on these ends, you know, you give it a little tension and it's going to pop off. And this is going to prevent, you know, your laptop and DigiPlate from falling over when it's on a tripod. So I don't use this end all the time, because usually I'm on a cart, but like last week in West Virginia, we were running gun and we were out in the mud. Last thing I wanted was the whole DigiStation going over on a stand into the mud, actually cow shit. So that is in a nutshell how everything works, and I'm going to go into more detail here on how to actually you know, put this into the block and this block. I'm assuming I don't have to show you guys how to put on a tripod plate. It's a basic Arca plate, screw, we include the screw. This port protector goes on, 2 bolts, and once you're all bolted, that's all good to go. So now the other part is the cartridge that goes on either a stinger, or we'll just do it with a full cable, because I'm feeling most people will just use this. What you'll do is, so there's this door or lid, I don't know what we want to call it yet, little slide here, it opens up, and what you're going to do is take your cable and thread it through there, kind of mash it in there, and you're going to want this facing the way that it's going to go into the camera. It might take you a couple times your first time to get this right. You know, you check it, you can actually check it without putting the slide back in, so you can put it on, check that you got it good. You don't want it hanging out too far or too far out. You want that connection nice and tight, all looks good. Pop it out, and then put the little slide in. And all this little slide does is just keep this cartridge from getting lost. Because what I'll do is I'll just leave this on this cable, and this will get thrown in a truck, it'll get thrown on this cart, and I don't have to worry about the cartridge coming off. So once it's all set up, and then it just slides in and pops in, this lock keeps it from coming out. it really becomes second nature where you don't even have to look and you can disconnect in 1 second. And then same with getting connected and getting ready to shoot. And like always, these IQwires, once you're connected, like as soon as you look at the computer, it's already connected. On the cable saver, what you're going to want to do, let's go ahead and take this one apart. The way I do it is you have this block and there's a little side port that's facing me. And then same thing with the right angle cable, it's pointed at me. And then I just take the block and I just count like 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's going to give us a nice loop. And then you're going to want to go ahead and just push this in where it lined up with 4. And the first time you put it in, it's going to be a little tough to get in because the idea is that it doesn't slip. I would not use like a screwdriver to push it down, because if you do, your screwdriver is probably going to go through this cable cover and ruin your cable. Just like the end of a pen usually works pretty good. One thing to keep in mind is when you are doing this, you want this to stay flat with this. Because if it's twisted up or twisted down, when this comes around here, even though it's going to look flat and look straight, if it's just biased a little bit up or a little bit down, it can make this connection not very fluid. So once that's all good, all you need is this little loop here. And this slide goes on here, and that's going to push it down and keep it flat. And then once you're there, now you're good to connect. And that's basically all you need to do for that. The other thing, just feel good stuff. Starting with IQwire Carbon Black. Did I mention that's what we're calling these cables? Carbon Black. All the packaging is reusable or recyclable. So cables in the box, there's no plastic bag. There's no plastic cable tie. So you can just pull it out and that's everything you need to get going. No waste. You could, at that point, recycle the box, or they're actually a good size. I have some of these just in my digital kit just for sorting stuff. Same thing with these guys. These are metal tins. They're basically Altoid tins. The packaging inside, it's all paper, so you can reuse or recycle anything in these tins also. There's no plastic, nothing to throw away basically. And that is our system.